Now let's go to Mercedes Coleman. She is on the phone with us as well. Mercedes, I don't know how much of a chance you've had to go through this affidavit for a search warrant. Again, one of the things that I thought was very curious is that they're looking up internet. They're looking to see if Kohberger had any internet searches to review other murders or violent assault, stabbings, or cutting of other people, as well as how to avoid detection after the commission of such crimes. I mean, obviously, the indications are that this was premeditated. Is this a standard thing that police do with a search warrant, or could this be specifically keyed to some information that they may have about Kohberger?
Yeah, that's a great question, John. First, it really is about what they're used to routinely do in these types of cases. They're going to look for digital evidence. There's a treasure trove that exists. Are there direct messaging to any of the victims? There had been reports early on that he had already been connected to at least Kaylee Gonzalez. That's what Mr. Gonzalez, her father, had said early on, that there may have been some connection. And that connection could certainly be established through social media, direct messaging that can happen on various platforms there. But looking at the digital evidence, if it is a connection that he has with some criminal case in the background, well, we know that he's got an extensive background in criminology. A lot of that he's already probably studied in school. But what they're mostly focusing in on, and whether or not there was anything regarding disposing of evidence, some concealing of evidence. We know that the butchery was so extreme, and there must have been a significant cleanup after the murders. And we know how these poor individuals, these kids were murdered, which is just devastating just to think about it. It was such extreme butchery, so they're looking for digital evidence about what do you do? How do you clean your car? The fact that he left there and drove in his car, and by all accounts, all the experts say that he must have been covered in the victim's blood. He's now allegedly driving back to his home if he is indeed the killer. How do you clean up the car? That digital evidence is perfect, because frankly, you and I and the rest who have not committed these horrendous crimes would ever conceivably think about looking up that information in the digital airwaves. But someone who's committed this butchery could conceivably start to look into that.
Mercedes, just digging through here.
So we'll have to see where it goes from there.
And perhaps this is repeating what we had, but some further detail. This application says that his home had a significant amount of blood from the victims, including spatter and cast-off blood. That's a direct quote. Investigators believe that it was likely that the killer would have had blood evidence on his body or clothing, and they had hoped to find this trace evidence in Kohberger's apartment. Your thoughts on that?
Well, and I mean, that's such key evidence, because there's no conceivable way that the blood of these poor victims will be found in his home. So they're looking for that. Even the dog hair. We had a dog that was present during the killing of Kernodle. The dog hair if that dog hair exists in his home, that is key evidence that can be used against him.
Right, but anything to connect him to actually being in the apartment, because at the moment what we have is a tremendous amount of circumstantial evidence. But as we have seen in the past, some high-profile cases that seem to have a preponderance of circumstantial evidence fall apart when they get to the jury. Mercedes, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.